The whole idea was to get you an opportunity to look at some writing, to get you into the rubric, to make sure that when you're making decisions about whether or not a portion of the essay is good, you're grounding yourself in the vocabulary of the rubric, right? We want you to become very familiar with that. And there was some fantastic discussion as I wandered around and listened. Okay, so we're going to basically start with our first group here, because their task was to really focus in the last part on that first category. So do you have someone that's going to share? All right, Oba. What can you tell us about the first category? First of all, can you describe what the first category is? And
understanding the ideological perspective.
Okay.
So we put proficient because in the paragraph we see him using, the...
How do you know it's a him?
Well, him or...
I'm just kidding. Stirring the pot, that's all. Go ahead.
We see the source being used in order to explain its base, and also being used to explain, just arguments and whatnot. We see the source being used throughout the essay, and we also see it being used and manipulated. An eye for an eye leaves two people blind is a good way to start off the argument in their first argument. And it also backs up what they're saying just a little bit. But yeah, that's the reasons why I was proficient.
Okay.
It wasn't overly insightful, but it was above average.
Okay, so that's an excellent description. Thank you. Can you tell me, were there some specific words within the rubric that didn't allow it to go to that excellent and kept it sort of at the proficient level? Did you talk much about? I know I didn't give you a huge amount of time, but did you talk about some of the language? So you said insightful as an example of a term.
Well, yeah, it wasn't overly insightful.
Okay.
It was sound and adept in using the source and backing it up and whatnot. But it wasn't, the discussions were purposeful, but they weren't above that,
Okay.
They weren't really getting into the depth of the source.
Okay. Were you maybe thinking it could be? So was there any thought in your group's mind that it might actually be an S, or was it always kind of between the PF and the E?
Yeah, PF and E.
Okay. Fair enough.